Welcome back to the Challengers League, and I am Mazel, joined by Magical and Joshi after a very up and down game number one, honestly. I was really excited to see the kind of pullback there from the side of AOE, but we have a little bit of a cooldown. We have a little bit of a halftime here. We got some time. They've somehow allotted me a bunch of time here to have some fun. So, being on the range, we've been playing it a lot this weekend. Figured theme is right, so I'm gonna go ahead and put my on the range hat on that doesn't fit with a headset.
You mean my hat?
And yeah, you know, it is. So I'm gonna go change my accent here because we're gonna play a little game I like to call "Who's That Down Yonder?" And I don't know. I don't know if I can. I can't see. I'm supposed to have glasses, but I don't wear them. So. The hat's not staying. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring up some graphics here. I got some. I see 4 people down the road. I don't know why they're at the end of my road, but we're gonna find them out together. See if you can spot who's that down yonder. So, hey, you know what? I don't have my green screen today. Oh God! All right. So first player we got here. Now it's two players for each team. So we're gonna start out good. So who's that down yonder? First player has played LCS. Does have LCS experience. I love that you see my hat on the other side.
No, I know who it is from the silhouette.
I think it's Young.
It's his gamer name is a personal reference. All right.
Yep.
That's his gamer name. Yep. His friends have a nickname for him. All right, they're pretty.
Okay.
They're pretty nice. His favorite type of music to listen to are didn't give us specifics, but SoundCloud rappers. He loves listening to some SoundCloud rappers.
Didn't know that.
He's the guy that's funding all those people on the corners.
No way.
I can't believe Young would do this.
I can't believe Young would do this. I've always wondered who actually buys those CDs from guys on the corners. There's like, they put a CD in your hand. It's like, that's $10. It's Young. That's
all right. There you go. We need to calm down here now. All right. I'm just saying. It is Golden Guardians Challengers Young. All right. And look at his beautiful
hair
face
did
right
kind of give it away, didn't it?
It did. All right. But we see who the first person down yonder is. All right. Now we got to go to the second person. Who's that down yonder? All right. Now this one comes from the University of Western Ontario.
I do.
No way. He played in Academy back in 2020. He's an Olaf enjoyer, so that's always good. Swinging the axes. He has name changed before.
Wait, I got it right too. What?
And hey, that's beef between you and production. All right, that's beef between you and production.
Jay, I got it first.
He has double dipped in collegiate and semi-pro. All right. So we got our last one here. Gave them all to you. University of Western Ontario.
Winnie, that was obvious from the silhouette.
I was first, production. I was first. I said it before Magical. That's 2-0.
I'll let production decide that. It is AOE Gold's Winnie. All right, the little guy there. All right. So now we're going to go to the other person. So we got Young and Winnie down at the end of my street for some reason. So let's go on to the next one.
I'm angry.
Did it look happy?
I don't know what production did. My screen is too busy right now. I can't see. I told you I need glasses. So we got the next player here. Next player. Favorite animal is an otter. All right, that's an otter. And that's a popularity among the players. Has name changed as well. All right, so we're getting into the double ups. We got double dipped in collegiate and semi-pro too, so that's another follow through. Has also played on the LCS stage, so this is getting a little bit amalgamous here. He got to off season in Korea though. I feel like that's a lot of the theme for the off season. But who is this player? Who is that down yonder?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Concept.
Is it Concept?
Yeah.
Does that look like Concept? I don't know. Let's go back through it one more time. Favorite animal's an otter. All right.
That's definitely something that we learned before.
Double dipped to collegiate semi-pro. Has played on the LCS stage and got to go to Korea in the offseason. Do you think that's Concept?
Yes.
You're wrong, buddy. You're wrong. It's Golden Guardians Array.
I actually, the one that threw me off is I didn't know that Array name changed.
He used to be Comp Array. All right, I pulled a fast one on you right there. All right.
It's technically correct.
It is.
We all know
that's what I told you. I had some finicky ones for you today. You weren't ready for it. I pulled a fast one on you. All right, the last one here. Last one, guys. Last one. We're making it through. Make it through. You're good. Get a water. You're right. The sun is hot out here and we're riding all day, all right? AOE, last player, because I already did 2 Golden Guardians, okay? So that gives you a little bit of breath room. University of Western Ontario originally, all right? All right, that gives you a little bit of hint.
Lynx or Skytech.
Also double dipped at collegiate and semi-pro.
Yep.
So has played across multiple teams.
Yeah.
Has 2 pentakills, registered in competitive.
All
right.
Links.
Yeah.
At one point, he said that if he could eat anything for the rest of his life, it would be oatmeal, and that's darn tootin'.
Really?
Right there, all right? Now, who
What
is that down
score?
yonder?
What is this?
Who's that down yonder? All right, who is?
Links.
All right. You got the last one. That's my boy Lynx there. He said he would eat oatmeal.
Can we talk about the fact that he said that if he could eat anything for the rest of his
Now,
life,
this was like half a year ago, so.
it would be oatmeal.
I'm gonna throw my chair.
Hey, at least you just weren't given points. When I was doing this with Deserex, he was taking away points because he was giving me wrong information.
So a little bit, the double pentakills, it's a funny little fact. Both against Maryville University in different games, in different series. One in PGCQ, one in PGCQ2 in 2022. That's kind of impressive. Poor Maryville. Anyways, that's our last Who's That Down Yon. I'm going to go ahead and invite them in and get them some sweet tea. And,
What? Oh, wait, no, that's a negative. Okay, we're good. We're good.
So we back. All right, we back. I'm going to take my hat off and stop this
I
act.
thought that was a different finger.
Oh, no. I wouldn't do that on broadcast.
Who won? I didn't see the scores because I had all this stuff on my screen, but I'm sure the audience won. All right, the audience won. I got to learn a little bit about players. For some reason, they were at my house after a game, so I don't know why. Anyways, let's get down to what happens in game number 2 here. We've had a little bit of fun, but it was a rough and tumble game, so to speak. And I think for Golden Guardians, there's a lot to come away from, but I would say structure is a big thing I want to see be stabilized, Joshi.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that we were asking for was that Rosethorn's early game was something that had really set him apart from a lot of Academy junglers back in 2022. We saw that it did set him apart from Winnie in this game as well. He was much better at being proactive, got a lot of impact early on in the game, but one of the things that we were asking from Golden Guardians was also an issue we brought up at the beginning of the day. There's nobody on this team that's a liability, but there's also not a whole lot of star power. There's not anybody you look to is like, yes, this guy is going to be the one that actually carries the game. And we kind of saw that, right? You know, there's opportunities. Array tried to make a cool play near the Baron. It didn't quite pan out. Young had a lot of opportunities to, throw ultimates down on Darkwings, but most of the picks that they went for didn't quite work out. And so this is one of these big things that Golden Guardians is going to need to figure out. One of them is going to need to step up.
Yeah, absolutely. I think step up is kind of the name of the game here, Magical. Did you have any thoughts coming off that first game, and especially where our big focuses were, right? We were looking at mid lane, we were looking at bot lane specifically.
Don't matter production, but if I look at what I actually want to see going into this one, I might want to see Roseland on something like the Sejuani was plenty proactive. He did a good job on it, but I almost would prefer him on something that can carry. Because if you want more of a hero, someone who's going to lead the charge, Rosethorn has done that many times in the past. You mentioned it even in mid-game, Josh, is that his Rek'Sai was something. Elise is actually coming into the meta now, especially with Vi being a big pick, and we know Winnie likes to play it. So why not just play the Elise into Vi?
Well, you got to get Winnie to play the Vi first, and I think.
Well, they banned it. They banned it last time. So how could you even get him to try it? Listen. Try it. I don't care. Go ahead.
Where are the points coming from? Nobody knows. They just appear and they happen. But I do believe we're going to be getting into it here very soon. So I just want big players to focus on from each one of you. Name some names. Who you got? One for each side. Joe should go.
For who I want to step up, or who's going to be the big carry?
Who do you want to step up?
I really want to see, in particular, I want to put Prismal on more of an engaged champion in the bottom lane. I know it's not the current meta for what is good in the bottom lane or what people have been playing, but I think it is something where if you give Prismal the engaged tools, he can be the decisive one to actually get fights started on your terms.
Okay, and what about you, Magical? You got anybody?
Roseland for Golden Guardians, I already kind of mentioned that before, and then if I look at AOE, I would like to see Lynx. Like, he did great in the late game, but I would like to see I just would like to see more of that earlier into the game because we know that he's capable of that. We've seen him beat Unforgiven and Destiny. It's not like he's just a slouch who would go, oh yeah, he can't handle his own. It's like, no, he very much can.
Well, I guess we're going to find out, shall we? We got game number 2 ready to go, so let's get underway.
All right, let's get underway. I'm calming down. I'm no longer as angry because we got League of Legends. That always
calms you down. Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It is. Unlike everyone else, League of Legends actually calms me down.
Well, I do want to say one thing about Lynx, right? He was not this huge aggressive carry until the last fight, where he actually played the last fight really well.
Oh, no, he played. I'm not saying he didn't play it very well. It's just, I'd like some more proactivity earlier into the game.
But Lynx has always been one of these players that is much more suffocating to play against than somebody that's going to, like, pop off, right? You know, even though we didn't see a lot of kills coming out from Lynx early in the game, we have to note that they got the entire bottom lane turret, they rotated top lane, they picked up another turret there. He was consistently up 10, 20 CS at different points of the early laning phase, and towards the later stages of the game, he was just able to farm and was one of the highest levels in the game. So he had a ton of resources. It just didn't come to him in a flashy way, and so, you know, we'll see. We have a couple other players on AOE that I think can already kind of step up and beat those stars. And so if Lynx can also add himself to that list, I think this AOE team can go from this 3 and 6 position very quickly to somebody that the rest of the teams have to fear.
I mean, hey, if they beat Golden Guardians again, get a 2-0, their first one of the split, that puts them tied with another challenger team. If we look at the standings really quick, I sit they're above Immortal Challengers at the moment, just with that singular win. We'll see what Immortal Challengers can do later today. But they also are now on the precipice of being, well, actually, they are even with DSM Challengers. So they are at that same spot where they're starting to contend against these Challengers rosters and make a showcase. This is why a lot of us, including myself, looked at AOE as one of the provisional teams that you had to look out for. Of course, Wildcard, Cincinnati Fear, they've done a good job so far of really upsetting expectations. It's a nice thing to see multiple of these provisional teams do well. So if AOE can do the same here, we've got 3 teams suddenly that are supposed to be the ones that get knocked out, and only 2 get to make sure they remain while the other ones have to fight for their position.
And we will see how that continues to shake out, right? Again, the provisional teams care a lot more about getting these wins than the challenger teams do. And so we will see a lot of growth coming out from the Golden Guardians, I expect, throughout the course of the regular season. And now, again, they are going to be having this Zeri with the Yumi this time if they do choose to go for it, which was not an option for them last time. They were forced to relegate Prismal to Karma duty.
It was available early. They just picked Cassante before it.
True. And so, if this does become a Yumi or a Vi, we are again very much on the kind of drafting. And so, you know, while we wait for more interesting things, let's again go back and talk about where we're kind of expecting these teams to go, because AOE is a team where we were initially expecting to talk a lot more about Darkwings and Young, but the big thing that we can say is Darkwings did a fantastic job absorbing pressure in game 1. The number of times that Rosethorn came to the mid lane to go for these ganks didn't really work out in their favor, and it's not because the Rosethorn was missing his ultimates or not going for these plays. Yeah,
he was landing everything. It just happened to be that Darkwings either was perfect at sidestepping a lot, or he just got himself in a great position that Winnie could then show up afterwards and defend him. And this is a different look for this bot lane. Not going for the Caitlyn again, that actually worked really well, especially in the team fights. Instead, opting for Sivir and a Heimerdinger bot lane.
I can't believe you're excited that we get to see Sivir.
I'm not excited. It's interesting. It's very interesting.
Yeah, it's a bit of a different look, right? I think the Sivir as a counterpick to the Vi has made a lot of sense. One, because you give the rest of your team a lot of movement speed. Two, it's very obvious when the cease and desist is actually going to be coming out, and it is therefore a very easy spell to use your spell shield on. But I remember this was a big point of contention last year during Worlds. Can you actually smite the spell shield off? During Worlds, the answer was yes, and I believe the answer hasn't changed.
It's still yes. You can still smite it.
Which means that Rosethorn, I mean, it does become this big play of how late can you use your spell shield without actually getting hit. I believe the AoE players, I know Winnie's here in LA. Do you know if Lynx and Skytech are also around here?
I'll be honest, I don't. I'm not too privy on a lot of that information.
Well, I will, in fact, yell at our producer real quick, see if they can give it to us.
Well, then I guess I'll talk about the next parts of draft, because right now we're in the second part. So we're seeing more of the solo lane bans because both Jungle and ADC, as Cubby likes to point out, being the typical first round drafts for both sides.
Whoa.
Not too surprised. I know. Whoa.
Did you see the Emily Rand spreadsheet about it?
No, I haven't.
In LCK, like for their first like 20 games or something like that, it was jungle and bottom lane picked every single time with one exception. And it was like, wow, every single time, whoa, we get the same thing. So now we shift our attention up towards the top side of the map. And again, the fact that Gamsu has expanded the types of champions that they are actually playing has been a big deal for the success of AOE Gold thus far. And going into Concept 2 has kind of struggled so far because a lot of the champions that they were playing before this off-meta stuff has become even like harder to play in the 2023 year. Does give a lot of questions about how Concept will be able to react to whatever Gamsu wants to pick up here.
I will bring up the point that yesterday Concept did get to play Olaf himself and looked really good on the champion. That was when he's playing more of these tankier, stat-checking champions. Yes. That's when we tend to see him look his best. He has that very unique champion pool. Everyone will always talk about Urgot, Mundo. If Nasus is something that he can bust out. He's really good at Tryndamere and Garen as well. But we have the final pick for him. It's all dependent on what Gamsu wants to go for in this top lane. With both Nara and K'Sante taken away, you've seen Gamsu expand outside of that simple champion pool we had seen beforehand. It really has expressed himself on more carries. Victor for Dark Wings is kind of expected. I'm not going to even mention that because as much as I like that pick, that would be very fun. The Gangplank is a lot more expected. Yeah.
This is a ton of range coming out from AOE Gold, and we do have confirmation that, yes, everybody from AOE is currently playing. Oh, yeah, that's right. I remember during Winnie's interview, they said that they had a gaming house where I think they were all playing, and I think even their coach was living with them as well. So a big opportunity for all of them. But with the Gangplank coming through, this is one of Gamsu's best characters and one of the few carries that they actually played. And the Singe was a concept special, but not necessarily.
But the Scion's also a concept special.
Yeah. Definitely a very different look. We haven't really seen this character in competitive for a little while, and it is okay historically into the Gangplank. One of the big things that you could do is you just shrug off a lot of the damage coming out from Gangplank's Qs early on, just because you have a large health pool and you can consistently use the shield to block the damage. But with the way that people have been playing Gangplank recently on the newer patches, that has changed a decent amount due to the fact that Gamsu or Gangplanks use the E to take the barrel at level 1, and they rely a lot more on the Trial by Fire burn passive that you can get out from there, and it really zones out a lot of melees like San very effectively.
This is where it will be a difficult matchup for Concept, because looking at Gangplank, how that plays, you're playing Scion, which is something we expect Concept, and we've seen Concept perform very well on in the past. It's not easy. And then you add in the rest of the map. We look at Winnie playing on Wukong, one of those champions he's been historically really good at when you look at Collegiate, when you look at Semi-Pro, when you look at Academy, even way back when. This is something that he loves to play a ton. So as we load up onto the Rift for game number 2 in this best of 2, AOE find themselves one game away from their first 2-0, and they're all heading down bot lane looking for trouble.
Trouble's not going to be finding them, looks like. And so one of the big things that we look at here is kind of a similar situation in terms of play style between game 1 and game 2, as we do see Gamsu going to be starting with the barrels there. But AOE is very reliant on getting to places first, and this time Golden Guardians, they actually have decent retake due to the fact that you can just send Scion right up the pipe, right? You just send him directly at them and he's unstoppable. There's not a way to prevent him from getting into the backline other than just sacrificing Winnie, and that is your entire front line. It is very hard to successfully sacrifice Winnie and then win the fight afterwards because you're getting outranged by Azir and Zeri.
It's definitely difficult for AoE trying to fight against Concept on that, but you got to get to that point. That's one of the things we look at with Golden Guardians draft, and I see just a ton. I mean, it's kind of crazy because both teams have opted for a lot of scaling, even if you have lane bullies on both sides. Like we expect Gamsu to gain control against Concept and bot lane for Lynx and Skytech to be ahead, but they also scale insanely well into the late game.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things that AoE is going to be relying on, is the strong later stages of the game, as we do see, I like this a lot, Array and Prismal trading some of their health to get a little bit more control of the bush and forcing Skytech to be in a position where they can actually hit him.
Yeah, but only so much. Skytech has still taking barely any damage. Even Lynx dodging away from the Glitter Lances. This is a level 2 experience lead that should go towards AOE's bot lane, giving Lynx and Skytech that expected control as Winnie. Flash is available. Does he pop it? He's waiting for it to get under the turret. Finally flashes as he almost burns down a red buff.
That was the difference right there of that canceled auto attack. If Rosethorn gets another auto off, that's a potential kill, but still getting the flash and taking away one of these camps away from Winnie is a huge difference. Rosethorn once again outplaying Winnie in the early game.
Making sure that this Wukong is not going to have anything to do for a while. And when we look mid lane, this is one of the lanes where we'd expect Young to actually get ahead, correct?
Yeah, I mean, this is a lane that Victor can play very well, but you have to play it aggressively, and that's why I haven't been super thrilled with the way that Darkwings has been piloting this Victor thus far. And it does ask the question, you know, is this the champion that we want to be spending this much time on? Like, Victor's not a bad champion by any means, but when things like Rise are still available, you can have a lot more freedom to play different styles of fights in the upcoming games. And Darkwings, I mean, he's getting pushed around by Young in matchups where he's supposed to be taking control.
The fact that Young gets this control gives even more opportunity for Rosethorn to invade.
Yeah.
No one's going to collapse in time. Even if bot lane,
No
Lynx, and
smite.
Skytech have that advantage, it's just going to be a simple walk through, clear, take away everything. Rosethorn, this early a game, last game too, you got so much control with the gank mid, gank top. This time it's just bowling poor Winnie, so he can't do anything. He just has to watch his whole farm fall and hope that he can pick up some scraps.
Yeah, this is really good by Rosethorn. Winnie just barely able to get anything done, and now maybe going to try and pick up a couple of these chickens, but Rosethorn not even going to do that. Instead, going to potentially look mid. He can win this fight.
Was wise. Yeah, Darkwings was wise to it. He's just like, you know what? I'm going to back off.
Buttons. No buttons.
No buttons. Let's see. When he goes in, takes a lot of damage already. Rosethorn eats the skill shot, waiting to see if he can smite secure that, and Darkwings is doing his best to try to help out Winnie smite secure that.
No.
Oh, wait, did that went to Rosethorn, didn't it?
Rosethorn takes so much away. That's at least
that
2
hurts.
camps.
That hurts my soul.
2 in parts coming through. You ever see that old video of it? I think it was like a Shyvana versus Nunu, and you just lost your entire jungle. Every single camp you tried to go for, you were not able to pick up, and Winnie finally going to get level 3 off of Scuttle Crab.
I'll be honest, I remember those matchups, and if you're Shyvana trying to clear your own jungle back then, you're playing it wrong.
Well,
the whole thing was...
they were living the other jungle. That was the whole thing. You could
no. I'm saying Nunu and Shyvana, that matchup, literally, they should be farming the other person's jungle. Both of them. That's just how that matchup worked.
Here we go. Rosethorn now with a pretty massive experience lead, but not necessarily able to impact the lanes directly. But because their lanes have been doing a good job, they haven't really needed the help just quite yet. No. And that means that Rosethorn has been so free to actually make all of these plays. And it's another good look from the lanes coming out from Golden Guardians.
Yeah, look at these leads. Every single lane has a CS lead, which means that they can rotate around. Prismal, he's on an adventure with Rosethorn so they can get the first dragon of the game, not even letting AOE have that as Young. No, he's in a lot of trouble. Nice dodge away.
This is good. This is one of the things that we love to see. You want to gank Azirs early because their mana pool is really bad, and so you can force them out of lane early, make them take early recalls, and burn the teleport. But Winnie still just trying to pick up some of the scraps. They got 1 camp back from Rosethorn, but Rosethorn is going to be picking up this early Ocean Dragon, which will make sure that their lanes are even stronger early on with the extra regen.
Getting all these little advantages, gaining even more control. Like I said, this game, it feels like both teams, they kind of want to, they almost want to stay even, don't they? It's like you have some power in some of these lanes, but we're just not seeing that out of AOE. They're starting to falter a little bit, kind of like they did last game.
Yeah. I also have a fun fact coming out from production, coming from Twitch chat. Ryan Lau says, yeah, both teams are actually in the same office right now. They are 2 doors away from each other.
That's funny.
So I wonder if when team fights are happening, they can kind of hear each other like down the hallway a little bit. You know, obviously you would not be able to hear what is being said, but you could still like, oh, they're shouting, something's happening.
That's funny. I think that's really funny. Then afterwards, like say that it's a 1-1 split, they can all just go out to dinner together and laugh about it.
Maybe. As somebody who has played in leagues, it's not the kind of thing we turn to do, but Rosethorn, again another camp.
What can Winnie do? I'm seriously asking that. What can Winnie do?
I mean, the big thing is that the bottom lane has not been moving. It has been Rosethorn and Prismal working together, and now Skytech a little far forward.
But there is that control ward to spot him out. With Prismal, Rosethorn not immediately going for it, thinking that there could have been some sort of support. They decide to back off, getting a little bit of the control, making it dead even between the two sides. Well, Ray does have an experience lead, and I wouldn't be too surprised to see if maybe Link Skytech get a little too big for the britches, just try to all in.
Yeah, if Skytech misses a grenade, it doesn't even need to.
Speaking of it, that's exactly what I expected. You had that advantage lead with the lightning crash, the flash
Nice,
in for first blood. Ray and Prismal, beautiful.
Great early play, and here we go. Rosethorn again looking for Winnie.
Leave him alone! Just let him have something. Come on, Rosethorn.
Winnie has no smite.
He has nothing. Rosethorn's just like, this, you own nothing. Everything the light touches belongs to me.
And this is what happens when you have no mid lane priority. Young has absolutely been beasting on Darkwings in both Game 1 and Game 2, and with Rosethorn not spending a ton of time actually trying to prevent Darkwings from doing anything. He's just going in and fighting the jungle instead. So far, Golden Guardians, they're winning every part of the map. The top lane is ahead in CS. The bottom lane just gets a 2v2 kill, and the mid lane's ahead. Rosethorn is preventing Winnie from playing, and it's so hard for AOE to come back. But we've said that before, and AOE have won games from this position.
This is true. This is also what they've also lost games from this position very quickly. So
yeah.
This is a difficult one for me to try to imagine, to think creatively of how AOE get back into this game, because you have Winnie far behind. This is going to be the second neutral objective picked up by Rosethorn. This game, I asked Rosethorn to step up, and he sure as hell has.
Yeah, doing a ton. And honestly, so is the bottom lane, right? Just going in for the 2v2. I was saying that they needed to wait for Skytech to actually miss a grenade before they actually went for the full all-in, but they didn't even need to wait for that. And now
experience lead. It was an experience lead. That's all they needed.
Yeah, Darkwings has no mana, so they will be able to clear this wave with the ultimate, but Young can now use this wave to kind of do what they want, right? They don't have to teleport, and they want to get underneath the turret so they can continue to poke Darkwings out, force a recall out from Victor.
Like that position from Prismal. Spots out that Skytech was looking to help out mid lane. Probably going to have the flash.
No flash.
Oh, it doesn't have flash. Good call out there, Josh. So getting another kill for Array.
Yeah, AOE crumbling a little bit, and this mid lane has been the big difference. Young is taking total control, allowing Rosethorn to be so aggressive and inviting people to come up towards the top side, and now Link's in trouble.
Link's in very much trouble with the polymorph. Look at Array. He's so powerful now. He is unleashed.
Crazy. Prismal doesn't even have to use the wild growth to keep himself alive. That dive just comes through, and this is what we were kind of expecting, the difference to be challengers teams versus a lot of provisional teams, and that hasn't panned out. But this time, it definitely feels as though Golden Guardians are just like, yeah, guys, we need to stop overthinking this and just play this game out the way it was meant to be played. We're going to get priority in the mid lane. We're going to take control there, and then Rosethorn, get him, right? It definitely feels as though this guy has just been unleashed.
It's funny because you look at the scoreline, you see Rosethorn 0-0-0, you're like, what's he done? He hasn't done anything. And then you realize that he's taken both neutral objectives, he's taken most of the farm away from Winnie, taken a lot of the buffs away from him as well. Set up his bot lane so Array and Prismal can go for aggressive, greedy plays where they immediately get Array 3-0. So now he can pop off, and now you have everything set up for your carry to do just that.
Yeah, and AOE going to be struggling to get into different places first. They're trying to set up for this dragon, which was the way that they won Game 1, but look at Winnie's HP. Wow. They can't fight for it.
He's got no gold. He's got nothing. And they look for this pick onto Prismal, but keep in mind, Rosethorn's on the other side of the wall, even though four members are nearby.
Don't do it. Okay.
Yeah, you don't want to do it, but AoE, you got to be careful because the jungler is low. Young is ready, and Winnie, he might overstep his welcome here, looking for the Vault Breaker. It connects on Winnie, he's forcing his flash early, and that's a cease and desist even through Cyclone. So look for the pickup with the Wild Growth to help out, but they got to be careful. That Chaos Storm will turn jungler for jungler, which does benefit AoE. At least they get some scraps back.
I really like the initial getting the flash of Winnie, but then seeing like, 1v3, 2v3, let's go in. Maybe a little bit much, but still they're going to result in getting themselves the dragon, and Rosethorn showing so much decisiveness, and it's definitely, it kind of feels like a middle finger, just like, this is not even my best play, and I'm doing it anyway just to make you sad.
Yeah, and now, okay, the thing is, while that play might not have worked out so well, Array is fed. He is 3-0 at 12 minutes into the game. He's got so much damage. Once he pops that lightning crash, nobody can stand up against him, and he could easily take this dragon by himself. You see Winnie, Rosethorn both having respawned into the fight. With Darkwing so low, he possibly might just TP into it if he wants to try to fight back for the team. That's going to be the cannon barrage. They look for a Ray, but he's able to get over the wall with the dash, and now Rosethorn's actually in a little bit of danger. I talked about that TP from Darkwings. He's shown up. Rosethorn's got to be careful. He gets over towards his turret to survive, and the boomerang blade was not enough.
That was a lot of patience from Young. I think they actually had an opportunity to turn that fight there to just use a forward soldier and take the entire team and put them underneath the Golden Guardians turret. Little bit gun-shy coming through on the side of Golden Guardians, and it will mean that AOE will at least grab themselves a neutral objective for the first time this game.
It'll be their first one. Should give them a lot of comeback potential, unless Young, can he do it? Okay, no. Winnie's going to smite secure it, and Young's instead just going to say, all right, we'll at least get a kill. We'll at least kill Darkwings, if anything else. Though they did have to be careful because Young got really low from that Chaos Storm.
Yeah, very low, but still, by getting that kill, look at where people are coming out from AoE. They are still in base. The way that Golden Guardians have turned around this game just feels like a huge breath of fresh air from them, and it kind of makes us ask, like, where was this Golden Guardians in Game 1?
They had moments, right?
They had glimpses.
But the thing is, I think the big statement has been Rosethorn's control of the jungle. He has been getting so much over Winnie to make him feel useless. But this could be a huge play for AoE if they can get the catch on a Ray. They have to kill this Zeri, get that shutdown gold, and deny the continual snowball that is the GGC bot lane.
Yeah. We were asking at the beginning of the day for both these AD carriers to step up, to be able to create these 50-50 situations. They've been doing it. Rosethorn's mid.
Oh, Darkwings again. Why does this look so familiar? But that's a nice gravity well. And Rosethorn, you bit off way more than you could chew, though you barely will survive as Winnie will fall thanks in part to the bot lane you had set up.
The extra teeth come through with Array. They can chew anything that they want with the big chompers that this guy has built up. They go for the dive, and it's definitely not the dive that we were expecting, but it works out. Array is here. Array is here to play. He heard us talking smack about him in Game 1 and absolutely dominating this game. But again, I have to continuously come back to this. We have seen AoE come back from worse positions.
You're starting to sound like me, Josh.
If this was any other team, I wouldn't bother saying anything. But it's so true. They've been in situations like this, and they've won. And it's been on the back of Winnie picking up fights. It's been on the back of Gamsu having this really crazy side lane play. But there's no side lane play for them to go for, and Winnie is incredibly far behind. So all of the things that we were looking at to establish AoE comebacks like we've seen multiple times in the past, they're not on the table just quite yet. We need to find Winnie go for some of these crazy plays and kind of be that semi-pro contracts.
But he's level 8. It's 15 minutes into the game, and he hasn't gotten his mythic completed. No. Neither has Darkwings at this rate.
Yeah, how's he going to get on the Samsung Fast 5 at this rate?
Well, it's not... Yeah, I mean, that actually is true. How is he going to? But that's not even the point. It's the fact that you're having even less damage. You're less capable of diving in without getting blown up by Array, who is working on his second item at this rate. Well, the mid-jungle duo for AoE... Actually, he's already got the second item. What am I talking about?
Yeah.
They don't even have their first item.
2 items at less than 16 minutes, that's gross. It reminds me
That's
of,
what I'm saying. And what can you do against that?
That's the kind of situation that you get when you watch people like smurfing, you know? Like actual, you know, unranked to challenger kind of videos. That's what kind of that's the kind of thing that happens is you have this crazy lead already. So Golden Guardians, they're now poised to be in a perfect position to actually close things out. This is where they can't get complacent, right? And it's where we've seen some opportunities. Whenever Young sees an opportunity for a pick, they've been willing to go for them. And the thing that's really good about that is they also don't need to be the one looking for these big Shreeman shuffles. You have Concept to be in front of you. You have Rosethorn, who is just disconnected but is still moving, and luckily we haven't run up against our competitive integrity pause yet.
Yeah, I mean, seeing the fact that he's pathing and everything, I'm pretty sure that was just a brief disconnect, reconnect.
I'm just saying, I have flashbacks. Were you watching the game of AoE where you had the pause in the base?
Yeah, I was watching that the whole time. I'm like, oh man, that's so rough. You guys did a great job of delaying, by the way.
But it's tough on the players too, right? Whenever you have those short pauses, whenever you see that
it's not a short pause. What do you mean?
No, I mean, even the short ones, though. You have to remember that every time we see that, the players have to go for, like, a short pause as well, which can really thwart a lot of momentum, but Golden Guardians are not taking their foot off the gas as they take total control of the bottom quadrant of the jungle, and they did this so well before, right? This was how we saw AOE actually take so many of these side lane turrets, was they would enable people to go in.
Oh, Winnie, the blast cone. Okay, he'll be fine thanks to his decoy, but still, it's everything right now Golden Guardians favored. They own every inch of this map. Even if you see some blue around the top half of the map, there are no tier 1 turrets that remain. The jungle camps, if they weren't already Rose Thorns beforehand, even more so now. He's not only completed his Smite upgrade quite some time ago, but Winnie's still looking a long time till he can get his, while Darkwing just gets dove on a turret, flashing away just to try to create a little bit of distance, but still dying. And, ooh, okay, that could have looked like Skytech falling too, but thankfully Lynx is there.
I mean, I'm going to be real. The way that Golden Guardians are playing these are not that impressive. Like, that is just how far ahead they are. They are kind of going in one at a time, and it's working. That's the sign of you did everything before this point correct. Array and Prismal are that strong. Rosethorn is that far ahead. Darkwings doesn't really have the goal to do anything. They are now committing the Cannon Barrage just to stop this push as Prismal, the support, the 80 carry turn support, is now just pushing around the jungler because Winnie can't do anything about it.
Nothing. He has no control in this game. It is all going to be off the back of whether or not you can continue to scale. You've got 2 items for Lynx. You got to delay the game now. That's pretty much your prime objective if you're AOE, is slow down this game until like the 30-40 minute mark.
Yeah. I think one of the most telling things right now is the fact that Rosethorn has been done with his jungle smite item for a while, whereas Winnie is still working.
I said that.
Did you?
Yeah.
I guess
you do not listen to me anymore.
Nope.
Ugh.
Anymore.
Not again. Oh, yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah.
All right. So
yeah, it's tough. It's tough.
It's very tough. But you know what's actually been going under the radar this entire game has been the top lane. We have not talked about Gangplank or Sion this entire time, and we're not going to be able to now because Darkwings is getting caught out trying to see if he can clear out his own minions, but unfortunately, you can't leave your entire base unless you have an escort.
Yeah, those are generally pretty expensive, but as we look at the rest of the map still, I do want to focus back in on Concept a little bit. What?
Why?
Because it felt right. Concept doing a pretty good job, right? We did say that this was a classic Concept champion on the Sion, and they've been doing a pretty good job, right? It is a historically good matchup because you just walk up and you bully Gamsu around, and it's not just anybody's Gangplank either. It's Gamsu's Gangplank. Gamsu was one of 2 players that went virtually undefeated on this champion over the course of summer 2022, alongside Bradley, one of the other best Gangplanks that we had in the league. And Gamsu is now in a position where, yes, they have 2 items. Yes, they're starting to do decent damage, but we're not quite at this point where you're going to be blowing up any of these people on the other side. And most importantly, you're not going to be blowing up Array, who has the shield bow completed and has a Lulu in the back pocket.
Well, the big thing, too, is the neutralizing factor of Sion, right? I would say that Gamsu has been thoroughly neutralized for quite some time. This is why I talked about, if you're going to get back in this game as AoE, you have to hope that this game delays for another 10 to 15 minutes at least. It's like, at best, you're hoping this goes like another 20 minutes just so you can thoroughly have the items advantage back in your favor. But look at this. 21 minutes into the game, they're so far behind, they can't do anything unless they can get the skill on Array. But like you talked about, Prismal can always save him. He can always just jump back on top of him so that there's no way they can kill him. And they'll get this Baron because they already have the Light and Crush to use. They can force off Winnie, who's low.
Yeah, Winnie has no flash. He's going to struggle to get in and almost dies. Just does.
Thorn, the heal to try to save Winnie. Lynx is doing his damage, but couldn't actually save his jungler. And now they're all in danger. Gamsu is nowhere to be seen. They're leaving Darkwings for the double kill out of Rosethorn. The flash from Lynx only means that eventually Baron is going to be in the hands of Golden Guardians. Well, Gamsu has at least gotten some bounty gold back for the team.
They're going to be splitting the entire map up. They did get 2 entire turrets, so the gold lead hasn't changed much. But still, Concept is now on site. There's nobody that can contest this dragon. There's no Baron to trade for. Golden Guardians, again, finding their way in. They have pushed Winnie to the brink, and unfortunately, he's fallen off the edge.
He's got no damage. He's got no health. This Kong, he's got a funny face.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the best you can say right now for poor Wendy. There's not much he can do outside of just show up, show his face, and be like, I'm here. And right there, look at that. He shows up to try to help clear out the minion waves and took half his health but from one auto attack with the soldier out of Young.
Yeah, I mean, Young's on 2 items already at this point, going to be coming out, and so I'm not really sure what we can be looking at from AOE to realistically give them a chance back into the game, right? They tried to find a pick, they committed a ton of resources, including Winnie's Flash, into trying to get onto Array, and Array just kind of didn't care, as now we get to see this play once again. It's mostly just Golden Guardians. They have a very split call, right? And that's one of the other things where if this game was a little bit more even, this split where Array and Prism will take a long time to turn off the Baron could have hurt them. But because they're so far ahead, it doesn't really matter, right? Concept is creating space. Winnie has already gotten a couple of kills, and while they've picked up the Baron now, they're going to be pushing up the mid lane, and we'll see if the wave clear is enough from AoE without the items to back it up against Baron minions.
This is where we do have to praise Golden Guardians a lot for how this early game played into now. Like, after a game that was well fought last time around, all dictated on a couple of fights that AoE were able to win, it's sometimes hard to bounce back afterwards. It's hard to get that mental reset and say, like, okay, we can bounce back into this game. We're going to absolutely crush them. We just need to fix this, this, and this. And Golden Guardians Challengers have done just that. They have made sure that every mistake that they had made early with playing over-aggressive, sure, they had a couple of hiccups along the way, but nothing detrimental that gave up any league. Skamsu is trying to fight against Concept here in the top lane, but it's also you know, a Scion, so it's not an easy thing to kill.
And we have bad news. We've run up against the competitive integrity pause again.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about my lack of soda, because that's the bad news for me.
That is also bad news, but man, this is happening to AoE again. Last time it was Link's game crashing. Hopefully it is going to be a shorter issue this time around, and we can get back into the second game. Last time it was potentially the worst pause I had ever seen, right? It was 50 minutes into the game. AoE had the Elder Dragon. Lynx ended up losing their Flash, and this time we don't know what the story is just quite yet.
Okay, we just got it. So AoE lagging, they paused to reset the internet.
Oh.
So there we go. So hopefully that'll fix the issue. You know, the simple unplug, plug back in method that always seems to work out so well. I don't know why. Why is it that works so perfectly?
I don't know. I'm not an electrical engineer. Maybe some of our production can inform us later on. But for now, again, the fact that we are seeing Golden Guardians bounce back so well in this position does give us a little bit more hope for them towards the rest of the season. I'm expecting that this team will probably remain kind of in the middle of the pack for most of the season until we get to see somebody step up more consistently. Rosethorn absolutely stepped up today. Fantastic early jungle paths in both games, and in game 2 now taking much more control of the game later on now that they are on the Vi and feel more comfortable actually doing the damage. That needs to become the norm.
Right, and I think it's what I asked, right? It's what I asked going from game to game. Like, the Sejuani, I'm not going to say it looked bad. He did a good job on it. It's just what damage does he provide later into the game? He's the one that always seems to be the engager who also likes to dish out a lot of damage to gain control that way. This game, he certainly has been that hero. Even if it's Array getting all of the spotlight with all the kills and gold he's now got funneled into him, it was all off the back of Array's early game.
Yeah.
Rosethorns.
Yeah, the way that Array did play the early game was quite good, right? We have been seeing that Zeri has become a much better laning character, and Array and Prismal, right? When they are together, they definitely suddenly feel like a couple of dopamine players, right? They will start going for things a little bit more, especially when they're starting to feel good, especially when they have that, you know, shot of confidence coming into them. And that is something where we are starting to see a little bit more opportunities for Array to be that player that's going to step up and not just win them all these 80% fights, but start winning these 50%, these 30% fights. And if you start winning these 2v2s in the bottom lane, it makes those later plays so much easier.
And this is now at the point where it is do or die for AOE. It is pretty much a 95% possibility that Golden Guardians Challengers are going to win this game, just with how everything would normally go in a game. But just to take your point, it is AOE. And we've already seen them a couple times. Even if they've lost in such cases, they have still battled their way back into a lot of these games to make them very close when they rightfully should have been over.
Yeah. So, just to give people a better understanding of where we're kind of expecting this game to go, AOE are roughly 2 big fights away from parity, right? If they get 2 fights where they go like 5 for 0, 5 for 1, then the game will likely be even. And if you can get that first one, suddenly we can start looking at who actually was the big recipient of some of these big shutdowns that they would be picking up from Golden Guardians. But until that first one happens, it's mostly going to be AoE. We're looking at Winnie as the only person who really has a strong go button. If they can find something there, or maybe Gamsu did actually get 2 turrets in the bottom side, maybe they can open up the base and give them a point of pressure on the map to play with, and by opening the base, means that they are only 1 big fight away from actually ending the game.
This is where I was going to even say, who would you rather be the big recipient of gold? Gamsu or Lynx?
That's a tough one. I think it's actually Gamsu this game,
That's what I
or
was
even
thinking
Darkwings, just because Super is such short range into a lot of these characters, right? You're going to get poked out, and it's very difficult for Saver to trade blows with either Zeri or the Azir. And we've seen situations in the past where Sivers just get auto-attacked to death by Zerys because Zerys can find angles that Sivers can't.
That's kind of what I was going for too. Like Darkwings, I think it is okay, but I really do think it's got to be Gamsu getting a lot of this gold. Because we already saw a couple of these barrels connecting onto Concept with the 2 items completed. Of course, it's not the one shot that we've seen from a lot of Gangplanks, but it is starting to hurt even the tanky members of Golden Guardians Challengers, so getting even more potential to then 1-4 for the entire game, have him on his island that nobody can really contest him against because he's got the barrel set up. I think is the one of those factors that AoE can rely on. This goes into that whole late game scaling that both teams have when it comes to their draft, and why we also want to see the game last a lot longer if AoE are going to win.
Yeah. So from there, I think there's not a whole lot left for us to kind of break down for this game. We've mostly done everything there. Is there any of these players that you feel particularly strong about and the way that they're going to be playing the rest of the Challengers League?
I mean, I got to go into the bot lane, like especially for Array. The Array and Prismal are 2 players that I want to keep our attention on. Rosethorn, obviously, I think is doing a really good job, and we see his strengths. But Array is a player that came in last season. He did all right, but a lot of eyes were on him initially to see how he could step up. And it wasn't the best start, right? It was okay. He didn't do terrible, didn't do great. But now we're starting to see a lot more of that strength coming in. And I feel like it's a lot with Prismal, that shot caller, who kind of gives him direction that allows him to play a lot more effectively in team fights.
And we'll see. I mean, Prismal is definitely a player that has stepped up in the past, that has a lot that they are looking to prove, and that they are coming back into the Challengers ecosystem. And we'll see whether or not they will be able to continue the rest of the season in the same fashion.
Yeah, it's going to be an extended pause, so hopefully we'll get this all fixed up. We're going to toss to a break for just a little bit while we get this all sorted. Make sure you stay tuned, because we'll be right back with Game 2 of Golden Guardians Challengers and AoE.
Are you struggling with hype in your life? Well, worry not, friend. This Sunday, we'll have the perfect solution to this problem. Be sure to tune in for an unforgettable night of emotion, discovery, and excitement at the Super Heavyweight SmackDown!
You're not gonna want to miss it, because if you snooze, you lose! Introducing first, fighting out of the red corner! This man fell from LCS all the way to amateur, but like a phoenix rising, he scorched the competition on the way to the top! The best performing individual player from Summer Proving Grounds 2022! He's madness, he's the rage, he's insanity! And his opponent, fighting out of the blue corner! This man knows what it means to have vengeance on his mind. For 2 years, he helped carry his old team into top 3 finishes, but never won a title. Now, with a new team, he's ready to show what LCS ready really means. You can imitate, but there's no way to duplicate. It's copy! Sit down for a match that transcends the NACL. It's a semi-pro slugger. I'll see you there on the Rift.
Welcome to another year of On the Range. Now, we've been busy this offseason acquiring some new territory. We got some new, some old, some rough and rowdy. Let's go and check them out, shall we? Now, one of the new bloods we got is Masu. He's in a bit of a migratory pattern while he flies to LA, but that ain't gonna stop him. No way.
The wild turtle getting lower and lower. Is it enough? No,
no. And that was on 120 ping. Now, another youngin' we have on the range is APA. And in instances like these, it's important to plan ahead. Luckily for Appa, he always does. Yep.
Concept following up,
that's
APA
big.
buying the space. Concept taking a lot of damage right now. Throws out the all-in. First to fall.
Now that we've gotten some of our youngins nice and wrestled, let's go see how our more mature members are doing. Caution now, we're going to be walking into the top lane kingdom.
Now, next up, we got good old Bradley. He's the last remaining member of his prize pack. But don't let his early antics fool you now, or he'll serve you up some of that humble pie.
Young, even with Prismal on top of him, I think Bradley's got it. That's another one. He's got Prismal too. Penta-kill to Bradley.
Now, as we come around the bend here, make sure you got your flex protection on, or Hanser will get you.
Whoa, watch out now. Whoa, Nelly. Is that a real weapon? Arms are flying everywhere.
Now, this next part of the range is a little bit scarier. We're gonna go check in on our crocodilian friend from down under, Surdy. He likes to hang out with the creepy crawlies of the world, but you know, if he gets you in his sights, boy, he'll get you. Woo! It looks like I got my work cut out for me wrestling all these new critters this year. But as always, thanks for tuning in to an episode of On the Range, and we'll see you next time.
Hello and welcome back to another year of the NA Talent Update. Honestly, I don't know how this got approved again.
Please, I'm begging of you.
But I sure as hell am excited to be back and bringing you some more NACL action in this revamped semi-pro system we have for 2023. With that said, I'm going to get started by throwing it to a couple of our friendly Canadians from above.
Thanks, Kobe. We're sorry to bring this up, but we had to say something. This is the North American Challengers League, and we feel like our players from the Great White North aren't getting the respect they deserve.
So we're just going to take a minute to talk about some of the great Canadian talent that we've got up here.
And first up, we got Spyrax here in the mid lane, and look at this boy go. Ooh, sorry, Doxa. At least he had the decency to go and die with him, though.
And now our next player, Tomio. If the Leaves were to pick him up, well, they might just have a shot to come playoffs time. Watch him go. First kill, bam, but then, oh, he's going to go back for seconds, eh?
You love to see it. And sorry to juke you on this next play. We know Moose Hater's American, but he put the moose in Moose Hater. Up here in Canada, we know how dangerous Moose can be, but it seems like y'all didn't get the memo down there.
For future reference, when you see an angry moose approach you, back away slowly, do not engage, and if they charge, run away, or else something like this is gonna happen. And now, for our last clip, Diamond does a good job here, protecting his team as best as he can, but deep down, look at this.
Yeah, Diamond, that's not very nice. Supports don't need gold, but I'm sure he apologized in the end, and he still played well.
Well, as if the Super Heavyweight SmackDowns weren't enough wrestling references, we've got Kangas and Deserex coming right at you with the Slam of the Week.
This time on Slam of the Week, Team Liquid had an inconsistent day 1 of Challengers League, but they turned it around in day 2 with their slam against Golden Guardian. With the powerhouse performance, Bradley slammed the top lane versus Concept with combined KDA of 10-1-9 across both games and a penta-kill to end the series. This was an easy decision for our Slam of the Week.
Well, he might be an LCS big shot now, but Rafa still has some time to help us out with the Raw Pog Moment of the Week, which is brought to you by Serenok and CLG Faith's Backdoor.
Line, but you can tell that CLG Faith are ready.
Oh,
for
here comes the TPs.
Serenok's going, but that's going to be too late for anyone to stop them. They got the kill in the plus. CLG, they've got to fight. They got to survive as the repel comes in.
Here we go.
But Serenok,
that's game.
he's looking for it.
Oh, he got canceled.
No, Lunacia's here. They canceled the back. And
That's
one
it.
more auto. He needs it. Come on. There it is.
Woo! Poggers. Big shout out to everyone who opted out for this week's NA Talent Update. It's good to be back. We'll see you next week, and may your week be
Ladies and gentlemen, Silver Scrapes.
Congratulations, Rafa. Go show him what NA Grassroots is all about, King.
Mark, I always knew you were going to get this. You deserve it. Kick ass in the LCS. Good luck. We're all counting on you.
Rafa, congratulations. You are going to crush it. We're all so proud of you.
Rafa, congrats on LCS, man. Can't wait to see all the musical content that you make with the crew, and make sure to not forget about us down here now that you're famous.
Rafa, you were the first person that I casted with, and seeing how much you've grown in the last 3 years as a professional and a friend has been incredible. Go give him hell in LCS. Cover that league the only way that you can, man.
Congratulations, Rafa. All the hard work and passion in the world. You deserve it, brother. You did that. You did it, and I know you're going to kill it in the LCS. Bring that Hispanic panic for the both of us, brother.
Yo, I remember sitting in a hotel room with you, Mark, and saying that you would eventually have to move out to LA to make this work, and here we are. We're right here. But I just want you to remember, you deserve every single bit of this, so congratulations, man.
Bounce Zach, but leave Garen up, and let's see what happens.
Prove yourself and charge! Charge! Make them remember you. Push through heaven. Charge! Charge! Here comes with emo. A thumbs up for the performance of Moose Hater. Are you ready for something big? Are you ready for a super heavyweight showdown? Two jugglers face off against their old teams for a battle you better not miss. Introducing first, fighting out of the red corner. This man is a jungler they try to deny. Silenced once, so he lets his gameplay do the talking. One of the top prospects of 2022. The man will farm camps. The man will farm neutrals. The man will farm you. It's Shaden! And his opponent, fighting out of the blue corner. This man rose from prodigy to academy, leaving a trail of destruction in his wake. In his debut split, he would push the previous year's champions to a brutal 5 games. The voice that booms from the heavens and quakes the jungle, Tomio! Get your butts in seats and throw those channel points down for a slugfest. Who will rise to the challenge? Find out in this week's Challengers League Super Heavyweight Smackdown!
Welcome to the North American Challengers League. We've gone through quite a few renovations coming into 2023, but worry not, I'll be your guide. As we prepare for the next chapter of semi-pro play, why don't I give you a tour of some of the changes we have in store. The 2023 North American Challengers League will feature an expanded 16 teams that fall into one of two categories. The 10 franchise teams from last season will be known as fixed teams. Our 6 expansion teams will be known as provisional teams. These categories have implications on relegations, one of our big new changes. Only provisional teams can be relegated. We'll talk more about this in a moment. Moving on to the regular season, which consists of a single round robin where every team in the league will face off against each other in a best of 2. At the end of the regular season, all teams will be seeded into a double elimination playoffs bracket. After 3 weeks of play, we'll have a champion crowned on March 29th. This takes us to relegations. The 4 lowest placing provisional teams will compete against the top 4 from the 2 NACL qualifiers. This promotion tournament will take place on April 17th. The top 4 teams from this promotion tournament will qualify for promotion into the NACL Summer. We'll have more updates on this as we get closer to the date. With more teams, games, and opportunities for promotion, I have no doubt in my mind we're in for the most exciting season of semi-pro play yet. Be sure to catch the North American Challengers League's first day on January 21st at 1 p.m. Pacific. I'll see you there.
Hello, welcome back everyone, and also thank you to the LEC for the lovely host that we got during our pause that we just had right now. We're trying to get everything resolved. Shouldn't be too much longer. There were just some lag issues, having to restart internets, all that lovely jazz, but we're getting ready for our game, getting back into it. Golden Guardians Challengers in a commanding lead over AOE Esports. Josh, we've talked about it a couple times, but this is looking like it might just be a done and dusted game unless a miracle can happen for AOE.
Yeah, and for people who are just now catching up to the game, we have to remember that early on, Rosethorn, the jungler for Golden Guardians Challengers, absolutely dunked on Winnie, taking away half of his camps at different points of the game. And of course,
I would argue like three quarters.
Too much.
Yeah.
Either way, Winnie was absolutely bonked in the early parts of the game, and now Array is impossible to deal with, and we will see how well they can actually close this out. Their Baron is almost gone, only 30 more seconds.
Oh, that's a lot of damage. No, on the concept, but Winnie, he's trying his best to survive. Is a trade at the moment. Array is low. That's an Emperor's Divide onto Lynx, but he continues to kite back while Array, he's too low to rejoin the fight. Oh, but Young! Double kill immediately eviscerating him. This is going to be Golden Guardian Challengers time.
That was probably the best fight that AoE was going to be finding. They get so much damage onto Array. They catch out the front line, and suddenly they have access to the back side. But unfortunately, it's not enough as Young going in, trying to find Skytech now.
He's just trying to pad the KDA at this rate. There's only the wave clear out of Victor. 2 lanes will be secured by Golden Guardians, toppling 2 structures and 2 inhibitors as they can look to reset afterwards.
This was supposed to be the hard part of the game for Golden Guardians, is potentially looking for that opportunity to open up the base, get the inhibitor turrets against all the wave clear that AoE has, and now they can back away. Does AoE want to try and make something happen here? Gamsu can't teleport anywhere close.
No, he can't. There's nothing. And Winnie, no. This has happened so many times in this game.
Well, is what it is. It do be what it do at this point as Winnie goes down for the 5th time this game. You gotta try and go for those crazy things. We did see an engage going, but unfortunately it's just not enough. And as we take another look at this, I mean, it's about as good as it's going to get, right? You get the Chaos Storm down onto Array for most of this fight, and they are not able to walk up and really contribute as much damage. Unfortunately, one of the other players that I haven't had a whole lot of chance to talk about is able to step up in their place. Young finding themselves a double kill as they spear everybody through with the soldiers. And as we already talked about, 2 inhibitors are falling. Golden Guardians looking to take the series to a 1-1.
With 3 dragons to their names, 26.5 minutes into this game, only 1 minute and 30 until the next Baron. You can see where that gold is, and we didn't get to talk about him much. As you said about Young, because we were so focused on Array, but that gold shift that he has gotten over Darkwings is, honestly, it doesn't matter now if you kill Array, because Young is going to be just as impactful.
But one player that has kind of gone under the radar, Gamsu has as much gold as both Young and Array. Maybe doesn't have the full damage to one-shot people, but they won't have the time to try.
Well, they got to try something because Gamsu, he's not even there yet. They got a Cyclone onto Concept, so they could kill the tank, but what does that matter? You've gotten rid of the tanky beefy boy, while the rest of them are still perfectly fine. Look at Array, look at Young, they're in the back line, trying to see if they can whittle at these health bars. The last exposed inhibitor remaining in this bot lane. A 4v5 could be attempted as Gamsu doesn't have Cannon Barrage to back up any damage into this back line.
Yeah, they don't have any engage tools, and so Golden Guardians can feel a bit more confident walking up a little bit with all of their crazy range on Azir. They also just need to wait for this Baron buff to actually spawn for them so they can just leave this part of the map and go elsewhere. They're just going to poke and prod until they're confident to actually make that happen.
Especially because by the time Baron spawns, Concept will respawn as well. That's going to be the disconnect that we saw. There we go. Everyone gets to see what had happened beforehand. It's just everyone disconnecting, getting the internet all sorted out, and then reconnecting. Don't worry. It's what is it? It's a feature, not a bug.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that just means that we're going to stop the siege here, go back, spend all of our gold, and then come back onto the map. Look at that. Young completing the Rabadon's Death Cap, an entire item ahead of Darkwings at this point, and they're going to go over towards the Baron, and AoE can try and make something happen, but their engage tools are weak. The Cannon Barrage isn't up. Lynx will not have the
It will be up in just a couple seconds.
It'll be up soon.
Yeah, but
will it be in time?
There's no TP wards either for Gamsu to actually try to get place. Winnie has to face check a lot of this. They spotted him out with cease and desist. Decoy to get a little bit of distance as Gamsu had to use the cannon brush just to disengage.
Chaos Storm Array.
On Array. But again, Array and Young. It's 2 carries you now have to deal with. Young is on the other side while Array has to go all the way around the long way just to escape. Yo, Winnie being that low as well means that neither team should be able to secure this Baron just yet.
But that's all of the ultimates. The only one that still has one is Ling's coming on the side of AOE. Winnie gonna go around the backside, maybe look for a steal, but the front-to-back team fight is not possible.
You gotta pull off the biggest miracle I've ever seen in this one. With how low of health you are, the Baron still is aggroed. They could go into the pit themselves. They're forcing Golden Guardians to fight. They get it! Winnie, he does it! The damage on a concept. They have to sacrifice Dark Wings, but can they get all 4 members that remain out with that Baron buff still on their heads? As Winnie's getting chased down by Array. He'll die. He'll sacrifice his life. I think. Maybe not. He's fighting against Array this whole time. Getting kited. Going back to the brush. There's going to be the zap. Not connecting. Channeling up the Baron. Looking for the dive back in onto Array. But now the concept is here to slow him down. He killed a lot of time for his team to reset completely.
That's honestly pretty darn good. That's about as good as it gets coming out from AoE, and that's why I love watching this team, is because they make those split-second decisions. When he says, hey, they're off the Baron, it's low, we're killing it, we're doing it. They end up sacrificing 2 members for it, but other teams would have a tough time doing this, but Golden Guardians not giving them way too much space, and yes, they get a couple of kills, but 3 members are able to just walk away, and that'll buy a little bit more time for AoE in this game.
And what did we say about AoE? What is their strength that we want to, that they have to fall back onto if they want a hope to win this game?
Yeah, giving Gamsu the extra item, right, on 4.5 items at this point. Dark Wings, it doesn't matter how far behind you are, if you eventually get your items, you will be doing damage. With all their inhibitors up, they can actually try and contest for this upcoming Mountain Soul.
It is a soul.
Soul is a soul. 3 Mountain Dragons is even better than that soul, and so Golden Guardians trying to set up. They have so much poke, and they're looking for
the poke. Skytech is going to be the option they look for, but he flashes back towards the team. A lot of damage on Winnie. He has to go Golden to be able to survive. But Array, it's huge. He's got everybody wasted as they run away. You had to win every fight if you were AoE, but Array is too massive on Zeri. They've got the flank too. Young punts him back, looking for the they were looking for the quadra kill out of Array, but instead they'll take the game.
And there they go. They finally find it. They find a fight onto somebody that's not Winnie, and the game instantly ends. Golden Guardians going full throttle at the very end. They're going to take this series to a tie and prove that the Challengers teams still have lots that they can pick up.
It was getting a bit dicey for a second, but there was so much that had to work out for AoE. They had to flip heads on the coin flip pretty much 4 times in a row if they wanted to win that game. Even one time they lose and roll flip tails, it's over.
And unfortunately for them, I mean, they still pick up a game off of the Challengers team. The provisional team still looking to pick up every win they can. We said that AoE was a team built not to get relegated. They lost the game that they were supposed to, and they won the game that they were supposed to so far today. So at the very least, the consistency that we are seeing coming out from this team does seem to be improving.
Yeah, and it is nice to see improvements from both squads. I believe that puts Golden Guardians Challengers at 3-1 for this weekend, which is definitely a good bounce back from how they were last weekend, which was the 0-4 week. Really difficult to start that way. Well, for AoE, they might have gone 0-2 yesterday, even if that second game they had that time around was really close and it was a nail-biter the whole way through. They pick up the 1-1. They keep themselves in the standings. We're going to toss it to a break, and when we come back, we'll have Mattel here for a lovely interview with Golden Guardians Challengers. Make sure you stay tuned.
And we're back with the Verizon post-game interview. I have got the Golden Guardians Challengers Array, the ADC in the bot lane, the duo of Prismal, my friend. I've got some hard-hitting questions for you today, all right? And I'm going to start off with the hardest-hitting question of all of them. You told me your favorite exotic animal is an otter, so now I need an explanation as to why. And you have to give me some actual explanation.
Well, I saw like a YouTube video once where it's called like an otter eating salmon. And I just thought it was pretty cute, kind of funny, so I don't know. It's like my profile picture on Discord was also an otter in a hat for a while, so it's kind of been sticking with me.
I'm gonna need you to send me that picture or add me on Discord because that sounds adorable. Okay, well, you got the hard-hitting question out of the way, so let's go ahead and talk about today and your path so far, right? You're going into another year in a different format with NACL, but what has been the biggest change for you from last year to this year, personally?
Well, I think coming into last year, I was a rookie, and it was my first split in academy. It was what it was called. So I was pretty nervous coming in, and I didn't really think I was always I was right in reviews and stuff, and I wouldn't really say what I was thinking because I just didn't really trust myself because I thought I was inexperienced. But I mean, after the split, I realized there was a lot of stuff I wanted to say or that I should have said, and maybe it would have made us a better team then. And the split, just making sure that I'm saying what I think, and yeah, just basically trying to make my teammates better.
I like that, and that self-realization is really nice, actually. So I like to see that a little bit. Now, you did get to cross something off your list. I know you tweeted about it. You got to play on the LCS stage in the season kickoff, subbing in for Stixay. I know it was a little bit of a crazy situation, but what does that do for you as a player? It seemed like you were pretty proud of that moment. You want to get back there. Is that still how you feel? Did you come away with any other experience from that?
It was definitely really fun, and honestly, I already wanted to make LCS before that, and then once I played on the stage after, I was like, wow, this is so fun. I really, really want to do this now, and it kind of just takes me into even more of overdrive when it comes to working to get there. And yeah, it was just really fun playing on that stage.
Oh, that's great to hear. It gives you a little bit of fire to light that motivation. Now, you are with Prismal. First of all, love the Array Prismal bot lane. Secondly, though, what do you feel like your biggest strength is between the two of you?
I think our biggest strength is probably just our champ pools. Pretty much play every bot lane that's being played right now, and I don't really see any bot lane that can't really play. So I mean, Prismal's just really mechanically good, and he has a lot of experience playing a variety of champs, so it makes playing bot lane pretty easy.
Yeah, you got the same mindset there. Do you guys do anything outside of game to kind of build that duo bond at all, or even with the team?
Yeah, I mean, we go to get food a lot, and we just take walks a lot, and just talk about the game and our opinions, and yeah, we do a lot of stuff outside of the game as a team.
Glad to hear that. You got to keep that up. It's an important part. Now, I do want to ask you one last real hitting question before I give you time to shout out anybody. What does success look like for you this year, Ray?
I just want to show my best performances as well as our best performances as a team, and I want all of our players to look good while also winning as much as we can.
I love it. You got anybody you want to shout out? Anybody you want to talk about here before I let you go?
I mean, shout out to my teammates for working hard this last week. Our first week didn't go that well, and everybody really focused up for this last week, and it showed, I think, in our games. And shout out to everybody that supports me, my friends, family, and yeah.
Hey, shout outs to you, Ray. Thank you for giving us some awesome gameplay to watch, and we'll see you next time, all right? Very soon.
Sounds good.
All right, we're going to say goodbye to Array, and we're going to take a little break here. So step away for just a few minutes, get some refreshers, and we'll be right back with our second series of the day.